Hey everyone, welcome to CCL Playoffs. I'm here with Z Yoshi 64 Ian Gaming, and I am really excited for this matchup and the whole tournament. Like, how are you feeling, Ian?
Hi, I'm feeling like it's a good collegiate morning, a good West Coast good morning, if I do say so myself. I'm feeling awake. I'm feeling refreshed. I slept for longer than 2 hours. Thumbs up emoji. Hey, welcome class. I'll be your professor today. I'm joined with my assistant, Fudgy Waffles, and we're gonna teach you how to play Omega Strikers. By teach you, I mean we've got Longhorn Gaming versus UT Dallas Meteorites duking it out on the fields. Fudgy,
Yeah,
tell me about these teams. Tell me about them right now.
yeah, we're talking about the fields, and we're talking about how we're West Coast, but these guys are all Texas. So I'm gonna be on that Dallas server. Gonna be able to play in that sweet low ping that us Westies could only dream of. But not only is it going to be on the lower ping, but it's also going to be on an older patch and on some new maps, or not some new maps, but a bit of a maybe like older-ish map pool. We aren't going to see that like crazy X like plus 30 power that's been kind of dominating the queues. X is still going to be terrible, and
Yep.
we'll see if it still gets picked ever this entire tournament. But I'm excited either way. These teams, looking at both of them, they're pretty interesting because they both went 5-3 in the Swiss stage of the tournament. But there's maybe some you can put some asterisks on like which teams they had to face and what teams they tied with, and like how you would want to scale those teams against each other. But what I'm really interested in this game specifically is going to be the midfield and goalie matchups. So looking forward at those because that's something I'll be talking about more once we get into game, but like right now, like our first map is going to be Imy's app. So that's going to be something where honestly the double brawler like comp of Cloak Oak and Blue Blazing might be able to find a lot more value in if they want to pick that Rasmus. Rasmus doesn't get banned because Rasmus is kind of a brawler in his own right. So, well, he definitely is a brawler in his own right. Let's be clear.
Let's be very clear.
Let's be very clear. But you can on maps where you can pick like more than one brawler. That feels pretty good. I don't know if this team has been practicing any of that era of double brawler technology as well, because we are also going to be going to Night Market, which is in fact their pick, and that is the double brawler map. So we'll see if that's something they have in their pocket. But Gates of Skryura being the last pick, I think that would be really exciting if we got there for Game 3. And I think of all the matches today, this is going to be one of the most likely to get there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really excited to see how these matches play out. I think it's really interesting that both Amy's app and Night Market are very UTD favored with that the double brawler technology. So I wonder if we're gonna see that. Uh, I'm excited to see how these games go down. Game 3 would be great. I love some good Gates of Obscura action. Who up getting gooey right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I might know what you mean. I might just know what you mean. But looking at the bracket, the winner of this game, oh, I mean, obviously every game matters a lot right now, but the winner of this game will have to beat the winner of UT Dallas and another team, whichever team wins Kennesaw State and UCF earlier on, are also going to be happening right now. But the losing now is giving yourself one heck of a loser's run. So you do not want to be losing this early in the tournament if you want to be making it on to day 2, especially with how many good teams there are in the tournament. And definitely there's going to be some really good teams in the losers bracket. So your best chance of making it on is to win your first 2 rounds and just make it in. Well, and as obvious as that is, but now that we're gonna be looking to try to get into game soon, and I'm really excited. Yeah, going to Imy's app, we're queuing up, and I want to talk about these team matchups a little bit more. When you look at like, these teams, you see UTD, and I see them all, and I would just say like on paper, just looking at those players like individually, I think they're all like they're going to be stronger players individually, but Cloak Oak playing off roll, I'm sure Cloak Oak's been practicing it a ton, to be clear. But is going to be playing the midfield role instead this time, even if, like, if in practice it's not your main role and your opponents are all playing on their main roles. So something you have to be aware of. And the Drakkar and Julie being banned, this Drakkar is it's a very interesting pick. It's kind of like grown in popularity a lot on this map as being as like that second Julie in a way. So having neither of them on the table is going to result in like Rasmus being picked and like an Asher coming from Blue Blazing, which is kind of like Julie 2.0. Blue Blazing used to be known as a bit of like an X Julie player, but X is kind of unplayable on this patch, and Asher is kind of like Julie, sorta. But everyone taking quick strikes at Maple Leaf is something that really, really surprises me. I don't think Castellax Mako provides much value, if any at all, minus your ult. Getting a little bit more time out, but Kazan is a very strong character this patch, so we'll have to see if that power balances out.
Yeah, correct. I think the Kazan pick here is just beautiful. I love Kazan on this map. I think he's super strong. One team picked Rasmus and the other didn't, and I think as the game progresses, and you know, it's been almost a year since we've been playing on this map, you know, since launch and everything, I think a lot of people are getting used to the Rasmus, but I think in many situations, having it versus not having it is a huge difference maker. That all being said, one team's barriers down and in a power play, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about one team having Rasmus and one team not having it, but one team having Kazan and the other team not having it is also
Correct.
A really big deal. In fact, no mirrors this game, which is really interesting. But even if like this team that you don't think has that much damage, they have Mako and Rune, it just doesn't matter because Kazan is just enough of a character on his own. And having that really nice clear from Maple Leaf, having that strike cooldown lowered with quick strikes is also just going to be a big deal because you have that extended strike. But Blue Blazing is going to find a cool combo and find that first one and find a barrier immediately after. It's kind of up to Nikki Minilin here to find a way out, but it's going to be a cross-map score from Maple Leaf, of all people. Going across the entire map, Heku just not ready, doesn't have a strike shot ready. Astral projection not going to come out in time.
Yeah, just sneaking that one by, and you know, looking at the picks here, I think the Rune is really interesting, and by interesting I mean I might be up there number one, number two Rune hater, but hey, Kazan enjoyers rise up. A little bit of a hook strike will be putting it in the bread and butter. The melee goalie killer 3000. What's that guy gonna do? Strike shot?
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't seen a single hook KO yet. So far, Longhorn been doing a really good job of playing around it, staying away from the center hole, but it's just scary playing against this Asher because as soon as it gets up, then you have a really good way of stuffing it in, a consistent way at that. But melee goalies are going to be able to hold it down if anyone can, and Mako and Atlas both are those melee goalies. But Mr. Flambeau playing Rune is going to be really good at helping out on the defense. But there's a full flip gone. Now Cloak Oak is going to be, although staggered, the one getting the KO, and it's up to them to convert on this power play. But again, this Rune is doing a really, really good job of helping out on defense. You can put the pillar down and just stop every piece of offense in his tracks. But Blue Blazing is going to find the hole and get the first point for their team.
Yeah, great strike, getting it right past. A little bit of, I think, Longhorn having a little bit of trouble getting through with their defense, and I think Mr. Flambeau warping out to try and convert on offense, but then unfortunately not getting it through. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. This Rune's going to be a real pain to get through because you can just pull out the double goalie lore. Just two buds sitting on the barrier, making sure it's not getting taken.
Cold
But
hands.
Torflip's kind of hard to defend against, and with Mr. Flambeau getting low, things are looking a little dangerous. Longhorn making a push though, able to get the barrier. Nikki Midland also incredibly low. Close to death, and if Longhorn can seal this out right here, they win the set.
But they won't. It's going to be Blue Blazing who finds the core at just the right time, and Maple Leaf is going to not be able to get that strike shot hit in time, and that's going to result in a 2-2. And we see the first two sets going in the way of Longhorn with no hook KOs, but Cloak Oak, once those hook KOs are found, the team is able to find their footing and then immediately get something done. But this round, we haven't seen that happen, and immediately the barrier's taken. Nikki Midland able to find that with the Kazan. And now it's Mr. Flambeau, who has flipped now, which is really, really scary if you are the side of UTD, but it's not going to end up being in a goal. Mr. Flambeau trying to get a setup for Nikki, but kind of a miscommunication is going to end up in not only no goal, but no flip on Maple Leaf. So kind of a scary spot right now. No quick strikes on Maple Leaf once again. So once it gets in close, losing barriers and stuff is kind of like almost just like guaranteed. But Maple Leaf doesn't have anything there. Missed the cooldowns, and Blue Blaze is just going to walk that one in.
Yeah, quite literally. Just an Asher primary and a dream. And Cloak Oak on the Rasmus getting first pick is a little scary. We see 2 sparks on the board. Nothing really in Super Rasmus favored. I'd love to see an unstoppable deny here, but Spark of Leadership being picked, not letting that go through. Only 3 sparks left on the draft, so that'll be pretty interesting to see if Cloak Oak will be able to pick anything up from that. But not a bad first pick. Pretty good first pick. Nikki Midland picking up the unstoppable, I think, is game changing. The first 2 points that they lost, I think, were 2 points that Nikki Midland got hooked into the center, and so now having a little shield to help with that a lot, I think is going to be really helpful, unless it just never comes back up. Ton of abilities being thrown onto Nikki Midland here. Not letting any of that happen, but hey, Fudgy, anything else on the draft you saw?
Yeah, well, on the draft, I'm still looking at the character draft, honestly. Looking like Rune and Kazan are both very slippery characters that have another way to dodge the hook, like other than just using evade. Because Rune secondary comes out really fast, and Kazan open secondary is a really good way to, it's just a free evade. But they're not going to need any of that. They're just going to use their strikes to break through. Some really good coverage from both Mr. Flambeau and Nikki Midland, both using their quick strikes really well, just making sure they're always covering a lot of space. And that's one of the scariest things about Kazan, is that you just can't strike it anywhere near Kazan, because Kazan's hook just covers so much offensively. And Mr. Flambeau has a pillar just in waiting at all times. So when you're Heku, you're just kind of hoping that someone uses the cooldown too early to give yourself a way out. But when that doesn't happen, it just feels a little bit unwinnable sometimes. But crazy angle, doesn't get the barrier, but was exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoa. Mr. Flambeau just lost all of his health for fun. But a great Strike War win from Nikki Midland is going to take that barrier. And hey, that's just another Kazan thing, is good luck trying to Strike War that guy who just has a different strike hitbox than you. It's going to be really hard to get through. But now in the power play, Blue Blazing able to get the barrier, get a ton of damage out. Mr. Flambeau's back, but a great primary from Cloak Oak's just going to put it in. And now we're at 1-1.
It's just really interesting because, like talking earlier, I was saying like Cloak Oak and Blue Blazing especially are like 2 players that are going to be putting up good performances. But like Nikki Midland's been having a really good game, but just doesn't like matter sometimes. With Cloak Oak's fundamentals are so good that like once it's in, it's just so scary for Longhorn Gaming. If they can find these KOs like they did just now, though, then they have a much better chance. But look at like Cloak Oak just stalling for so long, keeping the possession and finding the return KO. And now this flip is going to be able to should have been able to clear it out, but instead it's going to hit an awkward angle and result in an own barrier, which is really what Longhorn needed here. Cloak Oak really scary with that speed, but Maple Leaf with a great clear. Now, Looking for a way to start this offense, though. Rune is looking like really fast right now. I don't know. It's just having that Mako just does so much for your speed and your team's offensive presence. But the flip is going to not go in, and then Maple Leaf flip is not going to go in either. But Blue Blazing is going to catch the core of the primary and put another one in. And it's just like the execution requirement when you have the Rasmus, it just feels so much lower. If Cloak just finds a single hook KO, then the game is so much easier for them. Meanwhile, having the Rune, where you don't have those tools to break it through midfield, even less tools, honestly, than something like just Rasmus. So you're having trouble in the midfield with that, and like you're having to do stuff like that to get the barrier, but at least you got the barrier, even if you're KO'd for it. But now you have Cloak with permanent speed from that Pummelers, and Blue Blazing is going to once again catch the core as Asher put it in. And it's looking pretty dang good for the Meteorites right now.
It really is. I definitely think you're right. The execution on Rasmus Asher is it's a very linear game plan, and there's nothing wrong with that because it just works. You know, every 20 seconds, Rasmus is going to sling out a hook, try and smite someone, drag him to the depths, and then Asher is going to show up, press some buttons on the keyboard, get the barrier, and then try and get a goal. Whereas, like, Rune and Kazan have to do an entire juggling act on a unicycle, on a tightrope, over a pit of sharks, on fire, and then half the time they get the barrier. It's so much harder. But Nicki Mendelin picking up explosive entrance, gonna have a lot more damage. I finally get a damage awakening, and I think actually that extra dash range, it could be really good for catching Heku off guard. Not really a whole lot that Atlas can do about it, so I'm interested to see what can go on there. All being said, great pillar from Mr. Flambeau, and now alone on the offense, waiting to get something to happen. But it seems like Longhorn has a chance here.
Something I was hoping to see more of. I like the back pass, but Maple having to charge that primary, I've been there before. It's really awkward on Mako, because once you're charging that primary, you have to send it out, so you can't really control it like a strike once it gets to you like that. So, but I should still keep going for plays like that. That's something they definitely want to keep doing. And this is why this is what I wanted to talk about. Is I wanted to see more of these Rune banishes resulting in KOs. That's something that can happen a lot on this map. Once you get those types, oh my, so many flips. And a KO from Nicki Mendelin. Now looking for the shot right now. The great pillar almost blocks it out, but sets up Nicki just a little bit, but not quite enough. Now Cloco's going to be able to defend this entire center bit with the little bit of bonus size from Built Different. But there we go. Core speed looking a little quick and gets behind Heku.
Yeah.
For that one.
A kid named Overtime has raised their hand and asked a question. And it was, does Expanse come out fast enough for this? Answer unfortunately is no. And wow, just a great strike coming out from Nicki Mendelin, getting that barrier. Unfortunately, Mr. Flambeau has been found dead in the app. But, Maple Leaf and Nicki Mendelin are going to have to hold this open net.
Yeah, trying to hold in the 2v3. They have quick strikes on Nicki once again, but not Maple. So Nicki being on defense is actually a lot more helpful than like normally just having Kazan would. Mr. Flambeau has extra special and Deadeye, so it's finding a lot of damage and can find even more damage if more of these combos are able to hit. But usually, UTD is doing a really, really good job of putting enough pressure on where Mr. Flambeau can't do that. Great stop from Nicki there, instead on offense, but the flip is going to be immediately denied from Cloco. Now trying to find the way out, they are able to dribble it through, and then the strike shot from Maple is going to bring it out. So really, really good team play there. And now it's Blue Blazing who's looking extremely low. If they can find this power play, which they should be able to, as they do. They now have the power play. Really cool play there. Blocks the hook with the core, whether it's intentional or not. It still worked out really, really well. And now it's going to be the strike shot down and one flip down, but it's going to get all the way through. And that's going to be an unfortunate goal, resulting in a reverse power play. Cloco going pretty crazy right now.
Yeah, hey, similar thing happened to Heku earlier, and everyone gets one. It's the eternal goalie truth. But that all being said, wow, a 7-second point, a great Mako cage. Those drums were ensnared, and Nikki Midland puts it in with the open primary. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, whenever Nikki's in front of the goal, it's just really scary. Nikki's been doing a really, really good job of strike warring, which is one of the, fundamental important aspects of the game. So being able to do that better than other people will just put your team up at an advantage much higher. But we see the nice edge from Blue Blazing. Like, look how fast this guy is. He just did a full loop-de-loop around the center at like an insane pace. But Nikki gonna accidentally hit it backwards, which is gonna dime up Blue Blazing, but a great strike shot's gonna keep it out for now. The abilities being missed is gonna mean that Longhorn having a chance at this point, but every time Blue Blazing gets that, it's quick strike to Asher, which is not what you want your goalie to be 1v1ing against, and now we are on map point.
Yeah, and hey, in any sort of 1v1, I'm pretty happy to have my goalie be Quick Strike's Mako, but I 100% agree. Quick Strike to Asher is just a force that's a little too strong to deal with. But Mr. Flambeau getting knocked out. Maple Leaf holding down this barrier really well, though, but Blue Blazing able to win that strike and get it through. Almost just went in right there. Mr. Flambeau's back, but things are looking really dangerous for Longhorn here. They have to make something happen, or else that's game one to UTD Meteorites.
Yeah, look, this offense has been really good. Once they get it in that corner, Nikki does a really good job. And Mr. Flambeau stays back and is doing a pretty good job containing as well. Maple has a huge defensive play there. It's going to result in Nikki getting the chance to score. Really great plays from both sides of the pitch from Longhorn. And now we're going to be going to another draft, which means there's more sparks to be denied. We see 2 sparks here. It's probably not really worth double denying at all, really, because either way, and they have to make a weird decision here of like, are we giving it? Okay, they are going to double deny, which is okay, but it just means that Rasmus is going to get like missile prop and KO you guys even more. Oh, never mind. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. Maple Leaf has 1 spark, so this makes sense. This is actually all sparks off the table, so there's no more spark scaling, which is really, really good for Maple, or not Maple, but for Longhorn in general, because Cloak Oak is no longer that scary. They all have a lot more stagger now, which is good against Kazan, but it's really not that big of a deal. That combination of 2 sparks, like at this point, you're just kind of hoping you can like speed blitz the other team into getting their barrier. You don't really care too much about trying to find these like KOs. If you find them, you'll just find them on accident from dealing damage over time. Once again, just that same thing. Dribbles it off the center, which makes it even harder for Cloak Oak to find it. It's going to have flip here. That's the hook. Great play from Nikki. Gets through both of them in a 1v2. Honestly, surrounded by all 3 members of UTD and is still able to find the goal, showing the power of Kazan and showing the power of making it this far in the game. Or the Kazan's starting to scale, has the extra size now for even more scoring. KO found from Maple Leaf into a KO from Mr. Flambeau's, leaving Heku in a 1v3 situation. There's the barrier, looking to see if it's going to be the goal as well, and it will be. And Longhorn are looking really, really good right now.
Yeah, the scaling is kicked in. I think that size on Kazan is so monumental. It makes the character so much easier to play. So many more things to get done, and that means that the execution that you were talking about earlier is just going to be so much more doable now, and it's what we're seeing right here. And hey, speaking of monumental, we've got a Monumentalist on Rune, which is going to make the pillars less likely to form because there's more space for them to get interrupted, but they cover so much space, and on such a small, narrow map like this, I really like how big the pillars are. Oh my god! Mr. Flambeau!
Yo!
I didn't know he had it like that.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Angle.
What an insane angle. That was awesome. Wow. Mr. Flambeau, I was going to talk about how like, the Monumentalist means more damage for your ult combos with Deadeye too, but I mean, now you're rewarded. You're taking fight or flight for that bonus speed with the quick strikes just to give yourself. I like that a lot. Like you think of Kazan, you see 1-2 heavy spec. Honestly, 1-2 would be really, really interesting because then your open primary just turns into a dash punch. And it leaves room for your rune to get the fight or flight. But Kazan with quick strikes fight or flight, if you've ever watched a Scyther 12 guy play the game, especially with one size awakening, this is enough to just completely take over the game if you're Nikki Miniland. And especially with how Nikki's been playing this game, it's going to be really, really scary. But it's a really rough kickoff. It's going to end up in Blue Blazing finding a nice corner area to just send that ult through, and the airship's going to send that one in and give them a quick advantage to this final set of the map.
Yeah, and speaking of Blue Blazing, picked up 1-2 punch. Now has 1-2 punch knife's edge, meaning these Asher dash punches, you know, not quite like Julie, but definitely will be hitting really hard, super dangerous. Nikki Miniland has the recovery drone in case they're targeted, and looking a little low right now, but barrier down, recovery drone popped just like that. But Mr. Flambeau's on the breakaway and gets it. The 1v3 getting chased down by 2 members of UTD Meteorites, but just has a great strike in the situation against Tech U. Able to get it around the Atlas and tie up the game. Incredibly well done.
Yeah, I've been talking about Nikki this whole game, but Mr. Flambeau 2 pretty insane points back-to-back, including that last set shot. But like when everyone has quick strikes, there's always something crazy that is able to happen. And like here we see a great play from Nikki and just waits it out. Really, really good patience, good discipline on set 5. Knowing to do that, knowing to not panic, knowing to just wait it out, because that's like pretty much guaranteed, especially against like Atlas, who doesn't have the same type of create. Like Atlas has the creations to kind of be annoying versus Split, but not as much as some other characters. You see that extra dash range from Nikki go really crazy there, but this time Hekyu's is going to react. Now Nikki, though, has quick strikes in fight or flight. Look at this speed, is able to compete, if not even do better than Blue Blazing with the knife's edge now. And now it's looking to start Oki and Hekyu to get those stuns off, and the flip's not going to be able to go off in time, or it's just hard of not knowing if the range would be enough, or if you even need to use it there, and Nikki just causing so much chaos in the side of the field is going to result in a good spot, or in a good ending for Longhorn Gaming.
Yeah, wow. I don't know. Nikki Miniland tied up the skates, and we're just gliding on them. The slick kicks, the quick strikes, the fight or flight just went nuclear, especially that last point. Super well done. But again, hey, we talked about Nikki Miniland a lot the whole game. Mr. Flambeau, though, kind of the dark horse goat coming out, making a lot of really important plays, getting most redirects in the game.
Yeah, super real. Like especially like Rune. Although Rune midfield, has a lot of haters, and I'm one of them. It does scale.
I'm also one of them.
It does scale, and once, especially in that last set, it had the Monumentalist and the Siege Machine. Those pillars were lasting a really, really long time. So whenever they had an offensive opportunity in the corner, especially, Mr. Flambeau just put down that Monumentalist pillar that would just stay there for a really, really long time, and Nikki would just get it done. So that just combination, whenever they got that offensive setup, it was pretty much over. And even when they didn't, they had some really good passing plays, some really good coverage, just playing together, and were able to find what they needed on their own just like that. And Maple, honestly, 2 KOs is pretty ridiculous. You'd think having Rasmus on Imizap would give your team a really significant advantage, but it didn't end up being that big of a deal, really. 9 KOs to 6 is, you kind of want a bigger number, especially if your Rasmus only gained 4, and Asher ended up being the one to find more KOs. I mean, had the 1-2 punch knife's edge, which is a really good combo in Asher. Your primary actually can proc just by itself the 1-2 punch, because if you walk into them, then there's the passive shield that your primary uses that will hit them, and then immediately afterwards, the actual primary beam will have that extra 1-2 knockback. So some interesting lore there. That's why 1-2 punch can be really, really strong. But we're going to be queuing into Night Market, which is the UTD Meteorites map pick, if I remember correctly, which means it's going to be something that they have a comp much more cooked up for, and something they're excited for. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm kind of expecting to see similar bans. And with Castellast Rapid Fire, it's going to be interesting to see if we see Rune again. Because we saw Castellast not get taken by the Rune because Quick Strikes is, for good reasons, because Quick Strikes is so necessary to be taken in starts like this. And we see them, they hover X and Kazan. They just kind of, I think they were expecting, they weren't expecting this Kazan to be like as much of an issue as it was last game. So they're going to be taking it out. Julie also going to be taken off the table for blue. Makes a lot of sense. And here we see the return of the Rune. And we see Dubu being picked. Mako now being picked by Heck Yu instead. Heck Yu, I feel like in my eyes seen more as that Luna goalie, but in CCL especially, being like holding on to melee goalie makes a lot of sense because there's not enough teams that can punish your melee goalie by just dealing a ton of damage and KOing you. So here we see 6 rapid fire takes, not surprising at all. But now Nicky's just playing the next best brawler of this patch, because Zon and Zentaro just being that top 2.
Hey, I'm familiar with the Nicki Mintle and Zentaro. Gotta say, I'm expecting big things. They're pretty good at the pick, and hey, yeah, like you said, just next best. Some might even say just better than Kazan, which is insane because hey, Kazan was looking remarkably strong that last game. Oh, hey, not quick strike start, but great save coming out from Maple there. Really nice. Mr. Flambeau back on the Rune. I think it's pretty good, kind of like how it was last game. Narrow map. Gonna be easy to cord off certain areas. Hey, like that. And just get that double goalie lore going on.
Yeah, and there we go. Mr. Flambeau gets behind Maple Leaf to get that final strike in to keep that wall going. Really good teamwork on the defense there. And this goalie matchup is super interesting on this map. Mako having that extra speed with the now too. If you can double those up, things can go pretty crazy. I keep missing the strike shot and the strike, but it gets out nonetheless. But on the other side, Dubu's just a little bit better at holding it down, and also can have a lot more forward pressure if that Tofu Fortress is able to be used forward. But we're going to have to see if Maple is going to be able to find those opportunities. But Nicki Mintle is going to flip primary to get that one in. The double flip, a little bit of a miscommunication, but it's going to be cleared out nonetheless. And now Mr. Flambeau has a possibility of setting up something good here. But here we go. Maple Leaf is starting to fly. This is exactly what you want to see. And as soon as it happens, like, just look at how much more pressure this team has with that third forward kind of playing in the midfield and letting both of your teammates play up a little bit further. Allowed that pillar to get set up, and if we can see more plays from that coming out from Maple, it's going to be looking really, really good for Maple or for Longhorn.
Yeah, absolutely. What if your team was on offense and instead of watching your forwards 2v3 the enemy team, you also got in there? And that's the Dubu philosophy. You put on the momentum boots, bomb boots, locked and loaded, ready to go, and you just go so fast, walk up, Tofu Fortress. I mean, that entire lane is just sectioned off. A little bit you can get through, but yeah, I don't know, good luck. And yeah, I don't know, I agree with everything you said. I think Longhorn's going to have a little bit more forward pressure this game, and I think that goes a long way on this map. And with Dubu holding it down, it's a little bit better. I'm, other than the Rune, a big fan of the Longhorn comp. And hey, I don't know, Mr. Flambeau made it work last game. Made it work really well, so maybe I'm just being a hater for fun. Maybe the Rune is it.
Yeah, you know who's a fan of actually this Rune midfield is, well, unsurprisingly, is Gumi. But it's wow, Core is going to move really fast there. Overtime, it's really interesting, like which side you want to say overtime goes to, because Mako has some really good things that she can do in overtime. But Rune is also a pretty interesting character in that space, so seeing how that's going to work out is going to be a big thing. But double barrier instantly, Blue Blazing going to find it, which is a real idea. So right now, you guys might be having trouble seeing what's going on, so we'll help you out. Right now, it's one barrier down for UTD right now, but Longhorn trying to work with this open net right now, just kind of keep the core up. Maple Leaf having to deal with it a lot, especially on the Dubu. It gets a little bit more scarier. I'm glad Maple Leaf went mom boots. There's been a lot of Dubus out there not going mom boots, which makes it a little bit harder. But now Mr. Flambeau trying to push the core up right now, trying to get it through the midfield. Nicky Midland staggered right now. Clocoke has flipped in order to finish off this KO, but instead Mr. Flambeau's just going to solo get the barrier 1v1. And now, if they can clear this out and Clocoke can't flip, and Clocoke flip misses, it would have been a shot on goal, but it's not going to result in that. Now Maple Leaf being able to hold it down just long enough for Mr. Flambeau to get an opportunity here. Great stall from Mr. Flambeau to keep the core up. If they can keep this core up a little bit longer, they have a really good chance of finding a goal, especially if Nicky having the stagger going away, but Blue Blazing is going to find a shot in the 1v1 versus Maple Leaf, and that's going to go in. And it's 2-1 for UTD.
Yeah, UTD starting to run away with it. I think they're just, I don't know, something. Longhorn's got a little bit more of a scaling comp with that Zentaro and Rune. Out the gate, now and Asher should like win the first 2 sets, no problem. And I think that's what we're seeing now. It's their kits are just, again, no scaling required, incredibly strong.
For it, I mean, there's 1-2 punch and hot shot on this board. There's so much stuff. It's pretty crazy that we didn't see 1-2 taken when there's like a Zentaro, a Rune, and an Asher. And it's like really good on all of them. Like Blue Blazing's dash punch would have become insane, but instead we're just seeing like Blue Blazing opting for the speed, just wants to be able to control the core a little bit more and find more things like that. And hey, you're just gonna sometimes you just find those KOs anyway, so ends up not being that big of a deal. And the speed is also just looking really good on Blue Blazing. Both barriers are taken.
Yeah, absolutely. Blue Blazing is incredibly fast right now, and Nicky Midland picking up that belt different, getting size that last draft. He's kind of fully speccing into this core control Zentaro, which I think is really interesting. But you know, hey, it's working out, and I think fits the playstyle. That all being said, Blue Blazing is just too fast, able to cover so much of the net at once, and puts UTD on the board for the set. Running ahead, or getting the lead here. Can they seal out this set and bring us continue the game, or will it just end here?
Mr.
Oh my god!
Maple Leaf throwing out the Tofu Fortress too, just for good measure. That was cool. But yeah, Mr. Flambeau knows the pillar combo, knows how to make it. Like there's just a very certain way you have to hit that. Because if you hit that differently, like or if you put those pillars in different ways, then they'll just get knocked back, not into the wall. But Mr. Flambeau sets up the first pillar to hit into the second pillar, to hit into the wall. And now Nicky gets the core just in the perfect spot. A little bit of an unfortunate bounce for UTD Meteorites, but Nicky is just there to capitalize immediately. And just really good, like just this whole game, just in general, the team play coming from Longhorn has just been that much better. And that's when they're at their strongest, is when they're doing these like crazy like corner plays or doing some cool passing plays, or just like they're playing around each other's positioning really well. Maple Leaf this time also just helping out the team. Look at these creations, just plugging up the entire halves of the sides for like just the night market map. It's just making the Monumentalist on Rune is looking really good on the map, because it's just being able to plug up that hole to kind of avoid having to play midfield as hard into this now is just providing midfield victories that you wouldn't really expect the Rune to be able to get. But the damage is going to stack up once again. This Astra doing a surprising amount of damage, but Mr. Flambeau being able to hold on, is getting damaged himself though. But winning the Strike Wars a lot is going to result in a good stall. Maple Leaf getting the ult down to stall even longer. And now, one barrier apiece. We're still, both teams still in this.
Yeah, a great offense coming out from UTD Meteorites there. Able to get the barrier off of it. Blue Blazing's just rushing it at... It's so fast! It's like appallingly quick. Maple Leaf able to defend it. Looking really good. And now both barriers down for the Meteorites. Longhorn have an opportunity to make something happen here. But the core speed's just going around the world. Mr. Flambeau picks it up. Core flip coming out from Maple Leaf, and a great find from Nicky Midland. Get the top corner, and we're on set point.
That point was insane. Mr. Flambeau had an insane 1v1 versus Heku. Maple Leaf had like It's 3 insane saves. And then that last one just ran up, like wasn't scared. Like it's just, I'm so impressed by Maple's play. Like walking up is just something you don't see, like even some like really good hold it down goalies do. Just being able to move up is just so much, and this could be the whole game right here as Mr. Flambeau flips it in, and that's gonna be Longhorn Gaming with a 2-0. Just an insanely impressive performance coming from them. Just so much good team play, being able to deal with the fast core. Maple, even though like it's like the lowest level in the game, just had such a huge impact on offense with those missile prop tofu fortresses. Just I'm so excited to see that team do so well. Even like it looks like you see 131 redirects, but you just don't like see the impact of just like taking the steps up and like having like 13 shots over 5, even though it doesn't seem like that big of a number. Like just the core ending up in the opponent's goal box off your clears just means you're going to be redirecting less, which is just something that Maple Leaf was doing, and that team in general of Longhorn was so good at. They were so good at keeping the core on the opponent's half. They were so like all 3 of them just keeping the offense up so much like more often. We see, look at this redirect difference between Mr. Flambeau and Cloco. That's almost 50 redirects, and which isn't what you expect. You expect it now to be able to take over, but the pillar is just able to hit the core over and over again. Give Mr. Flambeau such a good chance, and just wow, Yoshi, just what a performance.
Yeah, I think this stat page tells quite the story. I'm looking at 2 things here. First one is 212 redirects from Mr. Flambeau. That guy was just controlling the midfield. A bit of a wizard on the rune. Pillars shooting up left and right, just covering everything. Other thing I'm looking at is 93 saves coming out from Hekyu. The ball was just kind of permanently on the side of UTD Meteorites, which is exactly because of Maple just walking up, getting those missile prop Dubu walls. There's so much offensive pressure coming from the goalie. You don't have to make saves, so the ball never comes to your side. That's the secret. That's my secret, Cap. I never make a save.
It is true.
The ball never gets here.
It's just better, and it's just better if your team is playing though to keep the core up instead of just to hold it down. You just end up in better spots. It's one reason I like picking Dubu over Mako on this map. It's just that you end up having more pressure. It just ends up going really well. And we'll be in a little bit. We'll be able to look at the bracket to see how the other teams have been doing. But just, I mean, Nikki Midland haters are in shambles right now.
Yeah, absolutely shattered. I mean,
Like,
the conversions Nikki Midland was pulling out were insane. And I don't know. It just Longhorn felt like they came together so well. The cohesion was there. You know, Maple would walk up, keep the core forward, do really well. Mr. Flambeau was just like a demon in the midfield. He could not be held down. And then Nikki Midland would get the ball, put it in.
Yeah, I just haven't. Like, you don't see this many. There's just all members of the team having their own pop-off moments, and like repeatedly, just like having that happen is something like in CCL especially is something I feel like happens even less. Usually you just have like your team's carry, and that's how it works. But all 3 members doing so well is it's just something super impressive. It speaks that like these teams like definitely been practicing, and I'm so excited. But let's take a look at the bracket. Let's see how everyone's been doing. We see RIT Orange took down St. Clair. I'm a little biased. It was 2-0. Unfortunate for the St. Clair lads, but I'm hoping they have a good losers bracket run. I didn't give them as much coaching this season as I did last, but I've been trying to help them out where I can. So UH Premier is going to be going against George Mason, beating Rutgers Red, which is a kind of interesting matchup. George Mason definitely the heavy favorites there. NGIT taking the win. That's pretty expected. We see, we don't know yet between Wake Forest, and OSU. We'll have to see who's going to go against Lakeland. But UCLA, I believe they have a sub today, but it's working out using the sub. I mean, they've played with the sub before in previous, like I think in like the earlier collegiate tournaments. So have that going for them. But they're probably going to have to play Lakeland later on today, which is going to be a really, really exciting match. And it's going to be pretty, especially important for UCLA, because I know they want to get to day 2 so that they can have Water Fury come back in. So we'll have to see. Yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a journey for a lot of these teams. It's of all the teams that end up losing this round, it's going to be again really, really hard. It's kind of hard to not just say it's it's over. I mean, UTD Meteorites Blue Blazing was in the finals of or was supposed to be in the finals for the last CCL, but now it's already in losers. It's on a different team, to be fair, but is now going to have a really long journey ahead of him. He wants to get that finals appearance once again. But also, yeah, there's some matches you kind of want to write off, but there's always going to be one big upset of the day, and I don't think that was it. I don't think that was the big upset. I
don't think so either.
Yeah. So next up, we will have SLU, who are debatably the favorites. Have gotten some really good wins lately. So that's going to be what's going to be next up here. We don't know who it's going to be quite against yet, but it's going to be either Auburn or UCF Gold. So we'll have to see. But I think that's all there is from us. Get excited for that next match. Keep your eyes on SLU, because they're going to be someone you want to be keeping your eyes on for the whole tournament, not just this next round. But until then, I think that'll be me and Yoshi signing off.
Yeah, hey, keep your eyes on Longhorn Gaming too.
Real.
They pulled off something really nice just now, and I think they still got more in them. So, hey, a lot of teams to keep track of. It turns out a lot of schools here, but SLU and Longhorn are two really good picks. But yeah, I think that'll be it from us. We're gonna be moving up to the nice farm upstate, and anything left on G Waffles?
Nope, that's it. I'll be back later, but yeah, you can go to bed or something. It's like bedtime.
We'll figure it out.
In the West.
Well, that'll be it from me.
GG's. See y'all soon.
GG's.